Hi Tacoma, welcome back to your third grade TV classroom. Today is Wednesday, November 18th, and I'm Mrs. Oslin. As always, let's take a moment to check in with our zone. Stop and think about what emotion you're feeling. Think about what's happening in your brain, what's happening with your body. Think about your I message. I feel because And also pay attention to how strongly you're feeling your emotion. Take some think time. I'm going to model sharing my I message with Rafa. Rafa, I am feeling like I'm in the green zone because I'm able to focus, my body feels calm and relaxed, and I think that this is going to be a good lesson. So I'm good. I'm good to go. I'm in the green zone. Now you take a moment to share your iMessage with your learning buddy, someone in the room with you, or with me on the screen. You'll remember we've been thinking about using really descriptive words to describe our feeling. So instead of just saying happy, we could say thankful, or instead of just saying sad, we could say disappointed, so that the person we're talking with really knows and understands how we're feeling. We've also been talking about how to recognize when you are feeling a feeling really strongly and you think you might say or do something that you know you shouldn't. And that's when you're going to go through the stop and stay cool steps. We've also been talking about finding win-win solutions to a conflict. A conflict is when we have a problem with someone, and a win-win solution is when both people get some of what they want and both people feel good about the outcome. And it's important to find a win-win solution so that we can maintain or keep our friendships and relationships. We talked about taking the peace path, which is finding non-violent solutions to problems or conflicts that we have with people. And the first step on the peace path is to tell the problem. This is where you get to express your emotion, express your I message to someone, and the other person is going to say it back. And then you get to say it back when they share their I message, so that everybody knows how everybody's feeling and why. The second step on the peace path is to brainstorm solutions. This is where you both think about what could be some good win-win solutions to solve your conflict. Some win-win conflict solvers that we've talked about are share, take turns, apologize, fix the problem, or get help. But there's more than just those 5 options. Finally, on the peace path, once you've both had a chance to think about what would be a good win-win solution, you have a conversation about it, and you pick one and you try it to solve the problem. Now, we started our new reading and writing units, our new biography reading unit and our opinion writing unit. And I hope you had a chance to get your new packet from your teacher. I finally got mine, so I'm excited to use that today. So the materials that you are going to need for today are your new ELA packet. If you don't have that, that's okay. Get your reading notebook, a pencil, and your learning buddy. Gather those materials and then come back to me when you're ready. Okay, today I want to teach you how writers include features of biographies to teach about their topic. And we've been talking about this, I think this is our 3rd day that we've been talking about this. And features of biographies, you'll remember, it comes from 2 Greek words, bio, which means life, and graphy, which means to write or scribe. So biographies are books that are written about a person's life. And we're going to learn more about our topic, which is Rosa Parks today. We're also going to think about how writers write for a variety of purposes. We write for different reasons, and we're going to think about why our author, Faith Ringgold, wrote If a Bus Could Talk. And that got me thinking, I need to know more about the author before I can figure out why she would have written this book. So I looked her up. And this is a photo of Faith Ringgold from 1993. And she's an artist. And I think she's out of California. I think she lives in California. And I looked at some of her artwork. And then I looked back at this book, and a lot of her artwork looks very similar to the illustrations in this book. And I also learned that she's written other books. She's written other biographies and other historical fiction texts. So keep her in mind and think about why she would have written this book. And also notice the features of biography that she used to help teach us about Rosa Parks. If a Bus Could Talk, The Story of Rosa Parks by Faith Ringgold. This is the dedication. So when authors and illustrators write a book, they often include what's called a dedication, which means they kind of give the gift of the book to someone important in their lives. And she says, this story is dedicated to Rosa Parks and all of the known and unknown men, women, and children of the civil rights movement who, through their singular acts of courage, made it possible for Black people to vote, take a seat on a bus, in a movie theater, or at a lunch counter, and get a hotel room just like any other American citizen. So that makes me think that our author, Faith Ringgold, dedicated this book to Rosa Parks because she thinks that the civil rights movement was really important. And that made me think that that's why she wrote the book, to teach everyone, you and I, all about Rosa Parks and the sacrifices that she made so that our citizens, all of our citizens, can have equal rights, even just to get a hotel room or have a seat on a bus. So you'll remember, and we're not going to read the entire book today, we're just going to think about why Faith Ringgold wrote this story, her purpose, and we're going to notice the features of biography that she used to teach us about Rosa Parks. So you'll remember this story starts as a fiction text of a girl or a character getting on a bus that isn't like any other bus. The bus can talk. Rosa Macaulay, the first child of James and Leona Macaulay, was born on February 4th, 1913 in Tuskegee, Alabama. Now, our story, the part of the Rosa Parks story, starts right at her birth. It tells us she was born on February 4th, 1913. That's one feature of this biography, is that it starts at her birth. From Rosa's earliest childhood, she could remember scary nights when the Ku Klux Klan, a band of hateful white men dressed in white hooded robes, would ride past their farm shooting off rifles to frighten the Black people. Rosa knew that the Klan had burned churches and beaten, tortured, and lynched many Black people. There were times when Rosa's family slept in their clothes so they could run if the Klan decided to burn their house down in the middle of the night. Now, our author, Faith Ringgold, included this scary part of Rosa Parks' life. This is a trauma that she had to overcome and had to experience, and that impacted who she was. So one feature of a biography that Faith Ringgold has included is thinking about Rosa's life and the obstacles that she's had to overcome, the adversities that she's had to overcome. That's one feature of a biography that Faith Ringgold has included. Despite those fearful conditions, Rosa's grandfather was an outspoken old man who made it known that he had a loaded shotgun and was not afraid to use it to defend his home and family. Grandfather Sylvester instilled a sense of pride in his children and grandchildren, and in Rosa most of all. Rosa was a nice little girl who loved praise, but she hated the disrespectful ways whites often treated Black people. One day, a white boy threatened to punch her, and Rosa picked up a rock and threatened to hit him back if he did. When her grandmother heard about this, she was very afraid because she knew something like that might cause Rosa to be lynched one day. Now, Faith Ringgold, our author, has included another feature of biography here, where she tells about the important people in Rosa's life, her grandfather and grandmother, and how her grandfather was an outspoken old man. That means he talked a lot about his opinions. and how Rosa was impacted by the important people in her life, her mother, her grandfather, and her grandmother. And so grandfather Sylvester instilled a sense of pride in his children and grandchildren. And that gave Rosa the courage to stand up for herself when that little boy was punching her. So one other feature of biography is including the family members or the important people who were in Rosa's life who helped impact who she is as a person. And we talked about thinking about who Rosa is and the character that she has. She's prideful. She is brave. She is courageous. And she is all of those things because of her grandfather and grandmother. This page talks all about Rosa's education and how her school had 50 to 60 children in one room and only one teacher. In Pine Level, Alabama, school for Black children only went up to the 6th grade, and it was only open 5 months out of the year, while school for white children went through the 12th grade and was often open for 9 months. This is another obstacle that Rosa had to overcome as a person. It talks about important events in Rosa's life, such as her marriage to Raymond Parks. One fateful day, December 1st, 1955, Mrs. Parks took this very bus home from work. The bus driver, whose name was James Blake, told Mrs. Parks to get up and give her seat to a white man. There were other Black people sitting in the same section, and all of them would have to get up so that that white man could sit down. So our author, Faith Ringgold, included the date. Oftentimes, just like it included the date of her birth, authors will include important dates in biographies because those are important for us to know when things happened in Rosa's life. This is also another huge obstacle that Rosa Parks had to overcome. And it also speaks to her character, that she was brave and courageous enough to not give up her seat. In fact, she was arrested. Now, this page brings up the fact that Dr. Martin Luther King, who's another very prominent historical figure, is very important for the civil rights movement in our country, was introduced to Rosa Parks. And so brings in another person. Another feature of biography is talking about how other people impacted and interacted with the subject of our biography, which is Rosa Parks. Mrs. Parks' case finally reached the highest court in our land, and on November 13th, 1956, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that segregation on public buses was against the law. That's a huge win for Rosa, and again, the biography gives us the date, November 13th, 1956, and talks about how this is a major accomplishment. This is something that Rosa, along with many other prominent figures in our history, this is a huge accomplishment. This is something that they earned. They worked really hard and went through a lot of obstacles to achieve this. The right that the Supreme Court ruled that segregation on public buses was against the law. That's a major accomplishment. So listing the accomplishments of the subject of our biography is another feature of biographies. Here's another important date. On August 28, 1963, at Dr. King's March on Washington, Rosa Parks was honored with a Tribute to Women award by A. Philip Randolph. Many tributes and awards have been given to this gentle, courageous woman. This is another feature of biography where it talks about awards and honors and the achievements that these people have earned. A bronze bust of Mrs. Parks is installed at the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C. She was awarded the Spring Arm Medal, the Martin Luther King Jr. Nonviolent Peace Prize, the Eleanor Roosevelt Women of Courage Award, and the Presidential Medal of Freedom. I am tripping over my words a lot today. So these are all different honors, degrees, plaques that Rosa Parks has earned. That's another feature of biography, is listing all of those. And then the story ends with our character getting off the bus and thinking about how she's going to take what she learned about Rosa Parks to teach her class. Now, in your ELA packet is this document called Features of Biographies, and it has a lot of words, so don't worry about reading what's on my screen. But I want you to use this today in your packet to think about when you're independently reading biographies, what are the features that the author uses to teach you about your subject? Our book, If a Bus Could Talk, oh no, here we go. Okay, have no fear. Our book, If a Bus Could Talk, is written in the past tense. Rosa Parks was, Rosa Parks had, Rosa Parks did. It's written in the third person, so using her name. Everything was organized chronologically, which means in order, beginning with her birth. So ours are about just a part of a person's life. Well, it's quite a bit, but it didn't talk about her death. Important dates were included. Important places were described. Significant people are introduced. We learned all about her grandfather and her grandmother. Important events were described. Interesting details, challenges and struggles. This is the big one that was listed in our book, along with achievements, honors, and awards that people are included. And then there's beautiful illustrations by Faith Ringgold. There was a dedication, so I wouldn't say it's an author's note, but it told us about why the author, or gave us an idea of why the author wrote this book. Faith Ringgold wrote this book to teach us about Rosa Parks and the civil rights movement. So when you're independently reading today, you can use this chart to help you figure out what are the features of biography that the author of your independent text used to teach you about your subject. So today we learned how writers include features of biographies to teach about their topic, and we learned how writers write for a variety of purposes. The purpose of this text, If a Bus Could Talk, was for Faith Ringgold to teach us all about Rosa Parks and tell us why she's so important. As you're reading today, you can also think about, pay attention to the words that the author is using, and pay attention to, are you really understanding what you're reading? And if not, you can refer back to this document to help you. Now, if you're also finding yourself getting distracted, you can use this to help you stay focused. And your other independent work, aside from independently reading a biography, is in your new ELA packet, is on page 4, a graphic organizer called Reading Response to Biography. And you're going to use this to write about your response to the biographies that you are reading independently. You could also use this to respond to If a Bus Could Talk, where we are learning about Rosa Parks. And it's going to ask you to state your opinion. What do you think about Rosa? You're going to describe her and give examples for why you chose that word. What did she do to demonstrate that character trait? This is all your independent work for today, third graders. Thank you so much for reading and thinking, and I can't wait to see the writing that you're going to do and hopefully send to your teacher and send it here to us at TV Classroom as well. Now it's time for your 5-minute break. You're going to make sure you take care of your needs, but you will also need to make sure you get your whiteboard and marker, your learning buddy, and your counters for Math with Mrs. Wally. Thank you so much again, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Bye.
Hi, third graders. It's Wednesday, which means it's Work It Out Wednesday. So I have an equation here. And for a few moments, I want you to see if you can figure out what this equation is without writing it down on paper. And as you do that, I am going to get my highlighter pen ready to go. All right. 49 minus 2 equals or is the same as blank. Okay, so what are you doing in your head right now? So I have two things going on in my head. I could do 42 minus 20, which would be 22, and then add one back, which would be 23. Or I could do 42 minus 10 is 32, and then subtract 9 from that. So what's 32 minus 9? Well, 32 minus 2 is 30. And then 30 minus 7 is 23. Got the same answer both ways. 23. Now you may be saying, Mrs. Wally, why did you do 42 minus 20 and then add one back? Well, here's 42, right? And I have to subtract 19, but 20 is easier to subtract by, and it's one less, right? So, or one more, I mean. So I did 42 minus 20, puts me at 22, right? So that was minus 20. Minus 20. Now I'm going to switch to this view. This will be easier to show you than trying to do it with that mouse, because that mouse is tricky. So here's our number line. This is what I was doing in my head. So I'm at 42. And if I hop back 20, subtract 20, I end up at 22. But I didn't need to subtract 20. I needed to subtract 19, which is just one fewer. So 22, what's one fewer? Right here, 23, which seems weird, right? Because I said fewer, but this number's more. But I was subtracting 20. I don't need to quite subtract 20. I need to subtract 19. So if I find out what minus 20 is, then I can just go forward one to make it only subtracting 19 instead of 20. And I get to 23. Let's see if we can use that strategy again. We can. So this is 58 minus 19. Go ahead, try that strategy in your head. So 58. And I'm going to subtract 20, which is going to put me where? Right, 38. But I didn't need to subtract 20. I needed to subtract 19. So instead of going 20 back, I'm just going to go 19 back, which is one less subtraction, but it means I'm going to be forward one more. So it's not 38, it's 39, right? So 58 minus 19 is 39. Pretty cool, huh? All right. Let's see what the next problem is. 45 minus 18. Do you think we could use the same strategy? Why don't you write on your whiteboard? Say 45. And we're not going to subtract 18. We're going to subtract 20. So subtract 20. What is 45 minus 20? Yeah, 25. Now, I didn't need to subtract 20 though, did I? No, just 18. And what's the difference between 20 and 18? It's 2, right? So we're actually going to go to here. So we're not at 25 anymore. What are we at? 27. So 45 minus 18 is 27. Now, if you're like, Mrs. Wally, I don't know. I need to check that. That's a great mathematical thinking brain. Start at 27. And let's count up. What's 27 to 30? 3. What's 30 to 40? 10. What's 40 to 45? 5. What's 10 plus 3 plus 5? 18. It works. How cool is that? Okay, let's reset our boards. Let's go to the next one. 51 minus 13. Okay. Now this one, I'm not sure that I want to deal with 7 to get to 20. But 13 is close to another number. Let's put our number line, 51. What's 13 closer to? Round it. Round it to the nearest 10. Yeah, 10. So I can subtract 10. Right? And what is that? 41. And then I don't actually need to subtract 10. I need to subtract 13, which is going to be 3 less 41, 40, 39, 38. Right? Because it's not 10. It's actually minus 13. And would that make sense? 38 plus 13, would it be 51? Well, it's 38 plus 10. 48. What's 48 plus 3? 51. So our answer is 38. All right. You go ahead and see if you can figure out this one without your whiteboard. Do it in your head. Okay. You have it? Do you have your answer? The answer is 52. No, Mrs. Wally. Oh dear. My brain today. Just kidding. 42. So let's see if I'm right. What's 61 minus 20? 41. And one more is 42. It should be 42. My computer is being really glitchy with this line, so I apologize, friends. All right. Let me get just to me. Okay, so let's see what we're going to learn today. Today, we're going to review how to solve problems where I need to multiply 2 or 3 factors. So reviewing that, putting the parentheses, doing the parentheses first, and then multiplying by the third factor. Are you ready? And remember, it can go in any order. So it says change the order and use parentheses. I apologize if I cough. I'm getting over a cold. So change the order, use parentheses to group the factors to find 4 times 9 times 2. So everybody, you're going to decide which 2 do you want to multiply first? 4 times 9, 4 times 2, or 9 times 2. Okay, and write that down. I'm going to do 9 times 2 times 4. And I'm going to do this one first. Okay, equals our number, n. What's 9 times 2? 18 times 4. That one's tricky. Maybe that wasn't the best one to do. So let's try a different one. Did you really want to find 18 times 4? I didn't. What if I do 4 times 2 times 9? 4 times 2 times 9. What's 4 times 2? 8 times 9. Now I can figure out 8 times 9. Right? Go ahead. What is 8 times 9? I can figure that out. What is 8 times 9? Well, I know 8 times 4 is 36. And 36 plus 36 is 72. So what is 4 times 9 times 2? 72. Very good. Reset. All right. Let's take a look at their example. It says there are 5 rows of tables in the cafeteria. Each row has 8 tables. Maria knows that 8 times 5 is 40. How can she use this to figure out how many tables there are? Look at how you could show your work using arrays. 5 tables. Each row has 5 rows of tables. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each row has 8 tables, so 8 in each group. But Maria doesn't know 5 times 8. Maria knows 8 times 5 is 40. Have a think time. How can she use this to figure out the equation, which was 5 times 8? Yeah, if she knows 8 times 5 is 40, does it matter what order the factors are in? No, if 8 times 5 is 40, then 5 times 8 is 40. Take a look at the arrays. Does the product change? No. 5, 10, 15, 20. Mrs. Wally. I'm counting by 5s. I need to be going this way. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Both of them have a total or an area of 40. So how do we know what multiplication fact this one shows? Right, we go by the rows than the columns, right? So this one's 5 times 8, and this one's 8 times 5. But the answer is still the same. So could we say this? Is this true? 5 times 8 is the same as 8 times 5. Is that a true expression? It is, because this is 40 and this is 40. They're the same thing. So, can she use what she knows? Yeah. There you go. So remember that. If you see 9 times 6 and you're like, I don't know my 9 times, but you know 6 times 9, then you already know the answer. There are 2 classes, excuse me, 2 classes of third graders. In each class, there are 3 rows of desks with 7 desks in each row. Write a multiplication expression to find the number of desks in both classes together. Okay, so here we go. 2 classes of third graders. So that's 2 groups, right? We have 2 groups of third graders. In each class, there are 3 rows of desks with 7 desks. 3 groups of 7. So I've got 2 classes that each have 3 groups of 7, right? So I could do my array like this. 3 groups of 7, that's 1 class. 3 groups of 7, that's the next class, right? So how are you going to find out this middle part? Yeah, go for it. See if you can figure out what our answer is. So what's this going to be? How many are going to be here in the middle? What is 3 groups of 7? 7, 14. Huh? So we've got 2 times 21. Well, what is 2 times 21? So how many desks do they need for each class? 42. Excellent. What could you do that might help you solve this a different way? Could we group the factors differently? Let's try it. I apologize. Ooh, I lost my microphone. I apologize that I keep coughing. I have water here to try and make it so I don't cough. All right. So we could do, this is our equation, right? We did 3 times 7. Could we do this? What's 2 times 3? 6 times 7. 6 times 7. Yeah, it's 42. Okay. What if we did this? What if we did 2 times 7 times 3 equals? What's 2 times 7? 14 times 3 is just adding 14 3 times. Well, what's 14 plus 14? 28 plus 14? 42. You get the same answer every single time. Okay. You guys are getting really good at this. AJ needs to find 3 times 8 times 2. Show one way to find the product. Use parentheses to show how you group the numbers. Show your work. Okay, you get 1 minute. Go. You ready? 3 times 8 times 2. You could have done 3 times 8 times 2. You could have done 8 times 2, and then 3 times 16. Or you could have done, which is the one I like, 3 times 2 is 6 times 8. 6 times 8 is 48. That's what I've memorized. Did you get 48? That's the answer. All right. So, you ready? Let's go on to the next one. All right. Matt knows 4 times 6 equals 24. Just write that down on your board. 4 times 6 equals 24. And that is true. 4 times 6 does equal 24. What other math facts does this help Matt remember? Does it help Matt remember 6 plus 4 equals 10? No. Wrong. Does it help him remember 8 times 3 equals 24? That gets into having and doubling, and we haven't gone there yet. So no, not really. Does it help him remember 24 minus 6 equals 18? Nope. Does it help him remember 6 times 4 equals 24? Yes. Why? Why does 6 times 4 equal 24 help? Is helped by 4 times 6 equals 24. Right, because of that rule, right? There's that rule that says in multiplication, it doesn't matter what order the factors are in, the product's still the same. So if I know 4 times 6, I know 6 times 4. There goes half of your multiplication table. If you know half of it, you know the other half. Isn't that great? So Sadie chose A. Why did Sadie choose A? I'm not sure. Did Sadie maybe add 4 plus 6? Because it's definitely not correct, is it? She was adding instead of multiplying. Why do you think Sadie chose A? Does it make sense? I agree, it does not make sense. All right, let's see. We are going to go to this. How does knowing that 3 times 2 times 9 equals 54, let's write that down, parenthesis 3 times 2, close parenthesis, times 9 equals 54, help you know that 3 times 9 times 2 equals? How does this help you solve this? How does it help, friends? Yeah, look, a 3, a 2, and a 9. It has all the same factors. So does it matter what order they're in? No, we know this is going to be 54 because it's the same factors in a different order. Excellent job. Your homework today. Let me pin myself so you can see me. All right, your homework today, page 207, 208. More practice with these same kind of problems. If you are not understanding this, now is the time to make sure you call your teacher and let them know. Okay? All right, today, did we use manipulatives or models? Yes. Did we compare grouping to help us solve the problems? Yes. Did we learn to solve problems where we needed to multiply 2 or 3 factors? Yep, we did. So now is time for our affirmation. Favorite time of the day. So this affirmation is one that I think is really important to tell yourself, that I'm going to do great things. Because you are. And it might be today, it might be tomorrow, it might be 20 years in the future. But you, third graders, are going to do great things in this world. So it's important to remind yourself of that. So I'm going to go first, and then you're going to go. I'm going to do great things. Your turn. Excellent job, third graders. See you later. Have a great day. Bye.
Hey kids, we want to see your work. Just send your pictures and your stories to TV Classroom, 601 South 8th Street, Tacoma, Washington, 98405.